Hi, welcome to Maintain Me's Denver Senior Helpers Resource Channel. I'm Morgan Jenkins. I'm the director at Maintain Me. And today I'm very excited to introduce you to Desiree Diaz. Desiree is on our team, and this is her first appearance on our YouTube channel and the first of many. So I'm going to go ahead and let Desiree introduce herself. And our topic today, which she has vast experience in, is mental health in older adults. And with that, I'm going to let you take it away, Des.
Good morning. My name is Desiree Diaz. As Morgan said, I do have experience in working not only in the senior community, but working with those seniors who are experiencing mental health later in life on all different spectrums. 5+ years working with them hand in hand and over 15 years in healthcare in general. So
Wow.
A very long time, but I love it very much. So, when we think of mental health, we think of, younger adults, younger kids with mental health. We never really necessarily think about our seniors and that they experience mental health. And when we think of mental health, there's always this stigma that goes along with it. It's schizophrenia, it's bipolar, it's hallucinations. But that's not all that it is. There's so much more to it. And with our older adults, they may not have necessarily experienced it in their younger age. But as we get older, cognitively, we start to decline. And with that comes some mental health issues. There are 3 top diagnoses for our older adults experiencing mental health. And number 1 is depression, especially now after COVID, being isolated from their friends, their family members, and just being alone in their space. Depression hit us all. And let's be honest, it did. But for our older adults, it really impacted them. Not that they, weren't depressed before, but, they had some lingering depression. If you're moving into a community or moving out of your house you lived in for 30 to 40 years, there's some depression that comes along with it. And we work through it with life. But when COVID really came in and isolated everybody from everybody, it really had an impact in our older adults. And I saw it firsthand actually working in a community, what it did to them. At the beginning, there was so much information coming around, and all we wanted to do was protect our seniors, keep them from getting sick, keep them from, contact with anybody who can, pass along COVID. And in doing so, we hindered them. We isolated them. We, were a major, player in the part of their depression, unknowingly and unintentionally. With depression, it's associated with distress and suffering. It can also lead to impairments in physical, mental, and social functioning. And with COVID, it just heightened all of that. And with depression comes anxiety. Like depression, it's among the most prevalent mental health problems, with our older adults. They pretty much go hand in hand. And then with, aging, dementia comes into play, and that is mental health. We may not see it that way. We may associate it with Alzheimer's, or it's just a part of the aging process, but it is indeed part of the mental health process for them. So those are the major 3 diagnoses out there right now for older adults experiencing mental health. And go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I think we're hearing this more and more, the isolation, everything that, we're not exactly post-COVID yet, but what damage was caused by that. How about in before times or regular times, as far as mental health for older adults? Is the depression and anxiety, that can be part of normal aging, but dementia, is that part of normal aging?
And, not for everybody. Not everybody's going to have dementia. I've been honored to know many older adults well into their late 90s who, sharp as a tack, sharper than I was, could remember more than what I can. So dementia doesn't affect everybody, 65 and older. There's not a rhyme or a reason why one would have dementia and one wouldn't, but it doesn't affect everybody, such as depression doesn't affect every, senior out there. I like to look at it as everybody has their own personal journey and is going to experience it in their own way, regardless if they've been diagnosed with dementia or not, or depression and or anxiety. Everybody's going to experience it in a different way. And so when it comes to providing mental health to our seniors, whether they live in a community or whether they're living at home with family, making sure that conversation is open and fluid, that we're not bringing that stigma with it, that we don't talk about it. It's just normal part of life. Yes, it is normal part of life, but it still needs to be talked about. It still needs to be, an open conversation, not only with your family, but with your provider as well, because there are resources, there are therapists, medication, there are resources to help our seniors through this journey that they're going on. And I think that is really the number one thing I would like to get across is be open to talking about it and don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. There's so many resources out there to Google, to educate yourself on. There is, the National Coalition on Mental Health and Aging that is really geared towards our seniors. And we'll leave the website and that resource in the comments below. But, I always say the more you know, the more you can help. And getting yourself educated on what your grandmother or your parents or your grandfather are going through is going to help them through their journey as well, and feel comfortable talking about it.
Excellent advice. So for anybody watching today, please feel free to comment. How has mental health affected your mental health? How has it either positively or negatively been impacted? Have you noticed a difference as you've gotten older and in how you feel with your mental wellness? So please drop a comment. Of course, Maintain Me is all about having informed consumers. Our clients should be informed so they can make good decisions about their own healthcare journey. As Desiree has alluded to a couple times, it is a journey. And we are here, we're doing this YouTube channel, this topic, because we know it's real life and it's affecting, maybe it's not affecting you, maybe it's affecting someone you love. So with that, Desiree, what if someone that is watching this right now is feeling in this moment so overwhelmed by either anxiety or depression, they're not sure what to do? What would be our guidance to them in this moment?
First off, I want to say you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not the only one feeling this way. Some people are really good at masking it, and some people are very good at expressing it. And if you're like me, you're really good at masking it. You never want to put your worries on somebody else, but know that you're not alone. And there are people around you who love you and who will do anything to help you. So it's just as simple as asking for help. And that's my big thing. Don't be afraid to ask for help. And if you don't want to do it with family, there are resources, there are phone numbers, you can call, you can chat online. There are opportunities to get the help that you need, and you're not alone. Everybody goes through it. It's not just you, and it's going to be okay. It is. Some days are going to be harder than others for sure, but there's always a light at the end of that tunnel. There always is.
Yeah, thank you. And Desiree alluded to some of those resources. We're going to put them in the chat here. So as you're watching this, just look down in the information box. We'll have phone numbers. We'll have places you can turn if you don't feel comfortable turning to family. Thank you for that. Now, next question. What if you are worried about someone in your life who maybe hasn't turned and asked for help, but you are noticing symptoms, withdrawal, not eating, not participating, maybe tearful or sadness, what would you say to those people who have someone in their life they love who is showing these symptoms?
Yeah, I mean, so it can go one or two ways. If they're a loved one living within a senior community, I strongly believe in making that physical contact with them, letting them know that you've noticed that they're sad, and ask them, what is going on? Is there any change in your friends in your community? Has somebody moved out that you were really close to? Inquire. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to ask. And ask those people who work at the community they live in. Ask their neighbors, ask their caregivers, ask the staff if they notice the changes that you have noticed as well. If your loved one isn't too forthcoming, always use the resources around you. And when they live in a community, there are multiple resources. Ask the activities director, are they coming to activities? Are they participating? No? Okay, well, I always found this worked for us, getting them out of their comfort shell. If they're living at home alone, making those visits, making the time out of your week to make that physical connection and asking them if they're okay. Sometimes that's all it takes. It really is. It can be a small bump in the road, and all it takes is that physical connection, taking them out for coffee, showing that you have genuine interest in their day-to-day life. Or it can be a huge bump, and it can be, a journey you both can go down together, and making sure they make contact with their physician and let them know what's going on, because it might need more than just a talk.
Yeah. Wow. Very good.
Don't ever be afraid to ask. Don't ever be afraid to ask. And there's no right or wrong way of asking either.
Yeah. So you're saying physical was the big resounding word there. Don't just call them.
Don't call them. Make that physical connection. That way you can actually see their body language and how they respond to your question. And you as a loved one are going to know them better than anybody else, better than their physician, better than their therapist. And being in the same room with them, being able to see them, touch them, you're going to know whether or not they're being forthcoming.
What about those that live out of state? We're all separate right now. What advice would you give if someone is not, you can't go? Well,
you can't go. Yeah. And it's hard because not all of us are tech savvy. I'm not that great at it, I can admit, but trying to get on those Zoom calls, those Google Duos, whatever you can do to have a face-to-face interaction online. And if your loved one isn't, tech savvy themselves, reaching out to a neighbor, seeing if there's anybody, in their neighborhood who can go help them set it up. But putting eyes on them, even if it's through a screen, makes all the difference than an actual phone call, because you get to see them, they get to see you. And it's very difficult being out of state and not having the resources and our time to go see them. It is. So rely on their neighbors, rely on any friends that they have living, close by that can go do that physical touch for you as well.
Great advice. Thank you. So just to recap, we talked about some of the most prevalent forms of mental health struggles in older adults. And it may not be something that you had as a child, but you've grown into this new, maybe even situational depression, I think we sort of alluded to. And then we covered some resources. So those will be in the chat box. Again, we encourage your comments. How has your life been touched by mental health, and what are you doing maybe for your mental wellness? So maybe let's touch on that real quick in closing or towards the end here. What are some recommendations that you have, Desiree, for people to improve their mental wellness?
When you get into this space with depression and or anxiety, or if you're experiencing, early stages of dementia, you tend to self-isolate. And my recommendation is, the moment you wake up, even if you have no appointments for that day and nobody's coming to visit you, there's no need to get ready for the day, get ready for the day. Put on clothes, do your hair, get ready for the day as though you have somewhere to be. Waking up with the purpose makes a big difference. It doesn't seem like it, but it does. And there are studies that show that people who actually wake up with a purpose and get ready for the day as if they're meeting somebody or going out to an event makes all the difference in the world, because you're less likely to self-isolate and leave your house. Get out there, whether it's shopping, whether it's window shopping, going for a walk around the block. You're ready for the day and you're ready to conquer anything that comes your way. That's the number one thing I always suggest. Wake up with a purpose. Doesn't have to be anything detailed, just the fact that you're going to get ready for the day and go for a walk around the block.
Who knows what may come?
Who knows what may come, but you're ready to go. That's the number one thing. The other thing is, surround yourself, if at all possible, with those who make you feel good about yourself, who help you remember happy memories, the good times, and help you create those.
Excellent. Excellent. Anything else to add?
Yeah, I would really just like to really say again, you're not alone in this. Everybody is experiencing some type of mental health, whether it's depression, anxiety, or, something along the lines of bipolar or schizophrenia. It's normal. It's normal. And there are resources and there are help. There's so much help out there. And that's why we're doing this. And we're, again, like Morgan said, we're going to list all the resources that we have, and please comment below. And if you feel like this is the best platform for you to get help, we'll be able to help you. We'll be happy to answer any questions you have.
Excellent. Desiree, so wonderful to have you with us today. And we look forward to more episodes with your extreme amount of professional and experience in the field. So nothing more to add for us today. We'll go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you for joining us. If you're interested in other items that we've discussed, or if you have an idea you'd like us to cover, please feel free to put that in the comments and we read them. We will respond to you, and we are always open to hearing what you prefer we would talk about or cover, or something that's important to you. So thank you so much. And with that, we will be signing off. Bye-bye.